All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. This is Mike Rooney from Lovelytics, and I'm joined by Amr Danthala, and really happy to have everyone here on the line for our intro to Alteryx Designer. Just a few administrative items. One, this recording will be made available on our YouTube page, and I'll be sure to share it with you after today's call once Zoom sends a recording back our way. So rest assured that we'll have that available. Also, right, we'll save some time at the end for Q&A. Please feel free to use the Q&A feature in the Zoom application, or if that's giving you any trouble, feel free to post those questions in the chat. I will be monitoring that. And without further ado, I'll just make sure and confirm that this is being recorded. It is. Excellent. And we'll get into it. So a little bit about Lovelytics. We are an analytics consulting firm based on the East Coast, but we have clients, consultants across the US and Canada. So lots of places and people that can support you. Just a little bit about some of our other technology partners. Of course, right, we are Ultrex services partners, as well as certified resellers, but also work with Tableau, Google Cloud, Snowflake, Mapbox, and Databricks. So I probably should have put Databricks and updated that. And then we have another headquarter in Toronto. Just some of the verticals that we work within, but of course, all industries and customer size organizations. This is me. Just a little bit about who's speaking. A little bit about me in terms of my certifications. So Alteryx, Tableau, and Snowflake, but luckily we have another technical resource here on the line who's going to be delivering most of today's content, and he's a lot sharper with Alteryx than I am. So certainly be sure to ask questions that are technically challenged. Please point them toward Amr. Amr is our head of Alteryx Solutions here at Lovelytics. He leads the Toronto user group. In the past, also led the Philadelphia user group. So he's an instrumental part of the community. You'll see him on the community forums as well. I'm sure he'll reference those. He has pretty much every certification that Ultrex has to offer, as well as Tableau certifications. So if you have any questions product related, he's going to be the best person to answer them. So today's agenda, one, right, we're starting from the very beginning. So we're going to give you an Ultrex overview. We're going to also plug these shamelessly, but Ultrex, one, has incredible documentation and learning resources. So we're going to make those, obvious and readily available, and also speak to the Ultrex community. We're going to talk about where Ultrex sits in your tech stack, right? And understanding we've got multiple folks on the line here. Every organization has a slightly different enterprise tech stack, but we're going to give you a visual overview of where we see Ultrex fitting in, especially for your analytics technology in your data environment. And lastly, but not leastly, give you a tour, a demonstration of Alteryx Designer. Really practical place to get started with your data, and it's necessarily where you're going to get started with your data in Alteryx. So that will be really the primary benefit for today's webinar meeting that we're hosting. So we'll give you plenty of context, and then we will give you a demonstration that should give you enough confidence to get going using Ultrex if it's your first time, or if this is you refreshing your memory, it should be a great place to pick up and continue on. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to let Amr carry it out from here. So I'm just going to stop sharing, and Amr, once you start, I'll just confirm that I'm able to see and hear you.
Thank you, Mike. Can you please confirm?
Yes, I can see the beautiful, oh, there we go.
All right,
Perfect.
So thank you everyone for joining us today. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if you're a regular, welcome back. And thank you for always supporting us. And we hope to see you as a customer soon. I just want to preface that today's webinar, it's going to be a very basic introduction to Alteryx Designer. For those of you who are not aware of what Alteryx is, then this is going to be a fantastic session. So let's dive in. So what is Ultrex? So Ultrex is a data blending tool which allows for a seamless blending of data. The tool has a similar drag drop functionality that you see with majority of BI tools these days, for example, Tableau. And in the past, there have been some other transformation tools that you must be familiar with. So Alteryx also falls on the same lines. So great thing about Alteryx is it does not require any programming experience whatsoever. It makes everything easier. You can build out solutions, and you can also scope out and scale the scope of your problem. You can start with 10 rows, and you can maybe take it up to 10,000 different rows based on what would be a solution that would fit for your problem. We have around 260 different tools in Ultrex. It is a one-stop tool that can do it all. It can connect to databases, spreadsheets, internal systems, and different cloud-based databases or data warehouses as well. You can transform structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data sources. For example, that you can see on the screen, Excel, text files, JSON, MongoDB, so on. It provides the typical data analyst or citizen data scientist with data enrichment capability. In addition, you also have an option of enhancing and contextualizing data with third-party data packages such as spatial or demographic data. And we are partners with Experian, TomTom, D&D. I'll be sure to touch upon the data packages as well towards the end of the session. So Alteryx enables data and business analysts alike and equips them with skill set, then turns them into modern analysts. And in my definition, a modern analyst is the jack of all trades and a one-man army where his weapon of choice is Alteryx. So Alteryx majorly consists of a workflow, and workflows look like something that you're seeing on the screen right now. A workflow is nothing but an analytical process that is built toward the solution. Once a process is built in Alteryx, it is fully repeatable and can be automated, and there is no manual reworking with the data. So each analytical process comprises of tools, and there are about 250 different tools that Alteryx ships out of the box. These tools represent code on the back end. Alteryx as a tool is also built on R. So Alteryx makes way for the simplest creation of reports. You can create your data and make it ready for visualization. You can do your ELT or ETL process in Alteryx and make your data ready for data warehouse ingestion. And also, it turns down the user productivity into hours from, let's say, days or number of weeks. So when you hear about Ultrex, most of you might have heard about it as an ETL or a ELT tool, but we here at Lovelytics believe that Ultrex is much more capable than just ELT work. It is one of our most used products in our predictive analytics product stack. So just know that Alteryx is also capable of doing predictive analytics and machine learning. But I'll be happy to show the tools, but I won't be going any of the predictive concepts today. So as we've discussed earlier, some of the features or what makes Alteryx different is all your workflows are repeatable, meaning you create a solution once and you can apply or run it a number of times. Again, it's code-free and code-friendly. No matter what your skill set is, the onboarding time with Ultrex is very, very small. You have enterprise-wide deployable analytics functionality, which is with Ultrex Server, you can deploy all your workflows across the entire organization. It's pretty flexible and diverse, meaning it supports every or most of the BI tools out there, be it a combination of cloud databases or visualization tools, Alteryx fits right in. And the return of investment with this tool is amazing. I'll also go over the pricing toward the end of the session. Finally, we have some data governance functionality that is built into the entire product stack. So there's Ultrex for you. So I'll pause here for a quick second. And if you see yourself checking off at least one or two boxes here, then I highly recommend that you give Ultrex a look. Some of these are day-to-day tasks that you as BI analysts or data analysts or citizen data scientists might be coming across, which could be some repetitive processes, filtering or cleaning data on a daily basis. You see yourself combining big data, and so on. All right, jumping into the Alteryx product stack itself, we have 4 different products, and Alteryx Designer is something that we will be going over today, but we also have Connect, Server, and Promote as our different products. On a very high level, this is how the architectural tool looks like. From the designer, we have some components that are connecting to the server. Using Connect, you can exchange metadata. And also we have Promote on the far end, which it is responsible for onboarding or deploying your predictive models. I won't get into the actual architecture components. We did a training in the past, and I will encourage you to skim through our YouTube channel to find the actual architecture of Ultrex as a product. All right, let's move on to some of the Ultrex learning resources. I wanted to keep this in the end because if some of you want to drop off, then this is highly valuable, and I moved it to the beginning of the presentation. All right, so first up, we have Ultrex community, which is a one-stop shop for everything Ultrex. You can find use cases, discussions, tool master series, etc. I will be briefly showing you or giving you a demo shortly after this. We then have the Ultrex Academy. You have interactive lessons, weekly challenges, certifications, and so on. We also happen to have a podcast where you can discuss anything. The Ultrex discusses anything from data science trends, Ultrex Center of Excellence, Ultrex Conference, and so on. In the deck, I also have some transition guides. So if you're an Excel user or a SQL user, then these are cheat sheets that Ultrex has put together that can help you with doing your transition. So if you type in Alteryx community on Google, this is where you'll land. So this is the community page as a whole. This is the home page where you can see anything and everything that is happening in the Alteryx community. We also have a community startup guide, which tells you how to navigate into different sections, and we also define what each of these different sections are. We have the use cases section where you can look at different use cases being followed by different organizations. We have a blog where, as you know, Ultrex is now an F1 partner. You can go in and read the blog. This is from the Alter Everything podcast. You also have some weekly challenges. But again, each of these sections are divided. Sparkhead, this is a new program that Altex has come out with. Definitely check it out if you want to get started with Alteryx. Then this is one of the means for you to get your designer license. If you're interested in participating in any of the Alteryx user groups, then this is the place to be. I happen to co-host the Alteryx and the Toronto, the Philly and the Toronto user groups. So feel free to say hi in the Toronto user group page. Once again, Excellence Awards, a fantastic place to read on different use cases that customers have come up with. So feel free to check out all these resources. We have discussion forums where if you have any Alteryx related question, you can come onto the forum, ask your question here, and within a couple of minutes or hours, you get your answers from different Alteryx spaces and Alteryx customers or Alteryx partners in the community. And then we have the Ultrex Academy. This is where I started learning Ultrex and getting all my expertise from. We have learning paths, interactive lessons, videos, weekly challenges, and so on. And learning paths is a fantastic way for you to choose your path and then let Ultrex give you different lessons. That way you can master the entire pipeline. For example, if I click on the data science learning path, I'm presented with this beautiful paths where Ultrex is guiding me as to where do I start. And from here, I can slowly progress into different sections. And then finally, I can end here. So whenever you click into any of the sections, as you can see, you have some interactive lessons, and towards the end, they recommend what you should start next. So this is a fantastic way so that the end user is not overwhelmed. You can just follow this path and then do all your study. As you can see below, all the languages that this course got exam and the Alteryx recommended follow-up session for predictive modeling. All right, you then have interactive lessons. The entire tool itself is broken down into a couple of interactive lessons. If you're coming from Alteryx, then this is great. You have Alteryx for Excel users. We have a separate interactive lesson for spatial analytics, macros, predictive analytics, some reporting tools and designer, so on and so forth. Again, each of these sections are guided. If you happen to take any of the certifications, then we recommend that you come in and do some of these interactive lessons. Again, if I click into any of the interactive lesson, the format is similar to what you have seen earlier, where you have a lesson. It is all guided. Sometimes it is interactive, where you'll have to drag and drop certain tools for you to finish that module. So pretty amazing and cool stuff. I apologize. I'll have to keep minimizing this because my Zoom toolbar is on top of the browser. All right. So next is the video training index. This is where you would find a ton of Alteryx videos. In the past, Alteryx used to do a lunch and learn series where they record a certain video where you can register and participate. And now we have a catalog of all these lunch and learn sessions that have been uploaded to the community itself. Again, all of these are, if you look at the URL path and coming in from the community into Learn, into Academy and videos. I've just broken these down into different browser tabs, so it is easy for us to just skim through all of these at a glance today. But if you happen to want the specific URLs, then I'll be happy to include all of these URLs in our follow-up emails. But if I click into any of these videos, then you know the drill. But this time around, it's a YouTube video where a trainer or a Alteryx partner will walk you through how to do predictive modeling using intelligence tools and Alteryx. Again, for some of the sessions, you have comments which are interactive. So the best way to learn Alteryx is to always stay on the community. One other resource that I want to put in front of you is the Ultrex weekly challenges. So we have around, I think, 200 or 300 different challenges. And as you can see, this is the leaderboard. I would encourage you to come in and start doing any of these challenges. You can sort it out by the level of difficulty. You have basic, intermediate, and advanced. So depending on where you are, every week, come in, take a challenge, solve it with all the knowledge that you have, and you can always cross-check with all the different solutions that are available on the community which have been posted by others. For example, if I click into any of these challenges, then as you can see, every member on the community who has participated in this challenge has uploaded their solution. So it's a fantastic way for you to download and cross-check your solution. The other thing that I want to go over is the Ultrex Tool Mastery series. So we have 260 different tools in Ultrex, right? And learning all of them at once could be overwhelming. And for that reason, we Ultrex created the Tool Mastery Index, where every single tool has an article written about it. We have best practices. We give you a scenario as to where you can use this particular tool. And sometimes partners and Ultrex cases or experts have come in and they literally present their use case and they show you how they have used that particular tool. So this again is a fantastic way to come in and learn about each and every tool. And pretty much you have an article or you have a use case for every single tool. So be sure to hang out here and learn each of these tools in detail. And I might be jumping ahead. If some of you, if you're not familiar with what Alteryx tools are, I apologize. I will get back to them in a second here really quick. Last but not least, we also have live training. So if you're interested, then you can also find live training. This will be more interactive, where you can ask questions. The pre-recorded videos, unfortunately, you can just listen to them, but you cannot ask any questions. But this one, this is super interactive. Get on the session, ask all your questions, as you can see. You can also check how many people are attending here. Finally, we have the Ultrex Virtual Center, where if you have any question, let's say if you're just getting started with Ultrex, you can come into our Virtual Solution Center and let's say I need to help build something. You enter all the questions that the board is asking you, and then I believe you need to enter your details, after which it will give you a link where you can book your online session. So literally, what do you need help with? Alteryx Designer Basics, Alteryx Macros. Let's select Alteryx Macros. And then I can select a time slot and hit book, after which I can jump on a call with an Alteryx expert and he can help me move my use case forward, or he can help me get started with Alteryx. All right, I'll come back to the pricing towards the end of the session, but let's quickly go back to the deck. Right, if you're sitting there wondering how will Alteryx enter your organization, then I will really want to focus on three things here. First is upskilling. Not everybody in the organization or in the engineering team who is tasked with a particular BI task is skilled with or is having a skill set in SQL, Python, or R. So this eliminates that barrier and you can quickly get started with doing your own analytics. And if you see yourself in an organization where the requirements for data analysis are growing exponentially, and if you see yourself organizing a lot of code, bringing in data from multiple different streams, and Alteryx can really help you streamline all of that. Again, if you are a business analyst or your data analyst, and if you're looking to augment or enhance your analysis, then definitely Alteryx is one tool that can really help you get you those superpowers. So this is quickly three frequent spreadsheet users, like People use Excel for data visualization, ad hoc data analysis, forecasting, etc. And also, as you can see, a bunch of work is going into shaping, cleansing, sorting, and basically doing high-level data cleaning and modeling. So we say Ultrex is one-stop tool for everything, because as you can see, you can, no matter your department, no matter the type of data or the type of ingestion system that you're using, Alteryx fits right in, and it can help you transform your ETL or ELT processes and streamline everything and write back the data to your warehouse. So this is what we're calling as an enterprise tech stack. This is where we place Alteryx, and we see Alteryx helping an organization. So typically you have your data collection, you have your upstream data sources, then comes the data modeling or loading or the transforming phase. You then ingest your data, then comes the reporting and consumption, and finally the enterprise enablement or adoption. So as you can see, in every single step, except for the data reporting, Alteryx fits right in. We do have some reporting tools in Alteryx, but here, if you're looking to do some sort of visualization, then I would not recommend Ultrex. But if you want to do report bursting, or if you want to automate any of your reports, then you can just do that in Ultrex. Let's say that you happen to download a bunch of data from an API, and that has to be constantly updated on a daily basis. Then you just have to build the workflow once, and you can automate it so that come Monday 9 a.m., Alteryx automatically spits out that report to your manager or your senior leadership. All right, so this is the Alteryx interface. Once you install the tool and open it, this is what the tool looks like. And the tool itself is broken down into 4 different sections. So the white section, or the number 2 that you see here, or the white section that you see here is what we call as the canvas. This is where you drag and drop all your tools here. All the Ultrex tools sit in the tool palette up above that I see that I've labeled here. And each of these tool palettes are broken down into different sections. So each different section, for example, join, preparation, pass, transform, as and when you click on each of these different sections, you have different tools. For example, we have queue and preparation, join, and so on. And all of these different tools sum up to around 260 plus. On the bottom is where you see the results window. So once you build a workflow and then you run your workflow, and you run your workflow by using the run button, if you pay your attention towards number 2, that's where we have the run button. Once you drag and drop different tools in Alteryx, create your workflow, run your workflow, the result window is where all your results appear. And every single tool has to be configured in a certain way, or think of it as different tools having different sections. And this is the configuration window where you see the different settings for that tool. For example, for this input data tool, you see the configuration, it looks a certain way. If I drag in the running total tool, the configuration changes, and now it looks different. We'll build a workflow real soon, but again, I just want to cover the different components of a workflow. Once again, a workflow is a quick analytical process, and each workflow consists of tools. Each tool is nothing but a step in a process, and each tool has an input anchor and an output anchor. Each tool is connected to the other, as you see on the screen, and data flows through these connections. Data is read on execution, nothing happens to your original data source, and a successful execution will show you the data in the results window. In the results window, along with your data results, you can also see your logs, warning messages, errors, so on and so forth. Again, this is a select tool in Ultrex, and each tool has an input stream and an output stream. So the bow tie shape is your input stream, and the triangle shape is your output stream. If you look at the results window on the bottom, if you look at the customer ID field, my first number is 62945, whereas the first number in the output window is 35498. What my intention here is I'm trying to show you that in your results window, if you click on your input or if you click on the bow tie, you will see the data before the transformation has been applied. Whereas if you click on the triangle, you will see the data after the transformation has been applied. So here, the transformation that I applied was nothing but a simple sort function. But this is how you will navigate or see the changes at every step in your results window. Again, Alteryx, it can read in different formats. You can read a hyperfile, CSV, XML, so on, right? There are a couple of formats which I'll show you shortly, but you can bring in all of these and you can read them into Alteryx. But Alteryx is intelligent enough, and what Alteryx does is it will try to parse the entire data in the form of tables. And as you can see, it will take the entire data and it will convert it into a bunch of fields and bunch of records. All right. So this is, as you know, this is the canvas. Whenever you run a workflow, the results will appear in this results window. This is your tool palette from where you drag and drop all your tools. And this is your configuration window where you configure all your Ultrex tools. Again, when you open Ultrex, we have some boilerplate workflows that we provide you with. So here, I'm just starting with this quick workflow. So as you can see, I have a combination of different tools. I built this workflow. Let me go ahead and quickly run this workflow. So this is my input, the first step where I brought in my data. And this is my second step where I'm applying some sort of transformation. So this is my input anchor and this is my output anchor. I can also check the metadata at every single step. So if you pay attention to the configuration window, the select tool has a different configuration and the join tool has a different configuration, and so does the sort tool. So you're kind of getting the idea. So it is up to me to go in and configure this tool. I have to tell the tool to apply a transformation of some sort and then run the workflow. Again, one sweet thing about Alteryx is every single tool has an example built in. So no matter what the tool that you're selecting, be it any different section in the tool palette, every single tool has an example baked in. So you can open an example and see what this tool is doing. For example, if I come into crosstab, I have an in detailed explanation as to how this tool is supposed to function or perform. I can run this workflow and check the results myself. Up top is what we have, what we are calling as the global search. That is, if I search here for summarize, it'll give me all the different tools that are available for summarization action within Ultrex. It'll give me help articles from the official Ultrex documentation. It'll also bring the tool master series and different articles related to summarizing that have been discussed in the community. Or from here itself, you can directly log into the community and ask the question. Let's say that after today's session, you did download a trial from us and you are looking to get started. Then we also have some sample data sets that you can download. You can check what's new in that particular version of Alteryx Designer. And we also have a sample workflows and tutorials for every single tool. Let's say that you're seeing Ultrex for the first time and you want to know how you want to connect to data. And we have a tutorial for that. Again, intro to applications, blending, transforming. The tutorials are to get you started, and the sample workflows are add-ons from the tutorials or starting point. So tutorials is holding hand, and then we leave you on your own by giving you some examples. So we have what we call as starter kits. So for example, in spatial analytics, we give you a couple of use cases with customer acquisition. If you want to do that yourself in Ultrex, then here is the sample workflow that we have built out for you. So all of this is built into Ultrex, but let's move into the demo and finally see how all of this works like. Again, if this is overwhelming or if the pace is too fast, the session is recorded. So I encourage you to please rewatch the session if my pace is too fast. But all right, I have a data set loaded here, but let me quickly show you how to bring in your data sets into Ultrex. For that, first, I need to come into my in and out tool palette and then bring in the input data tool. So if all of this is a little bit confusing, then my go-to analogy is think of a problem and a solution, right? And my hypothetical problem here is that I'm hungry. And the solution is that I need food or I need to have some sort of a meal. For me to cook a meal, I need to have a recipe on hand. And those recipes require different ingredients. And finally, I need a process to make the dish. Each of these sections are nothing but my recipes. For example, in preparation, think of this as a recipe, and all these tools are nothing but different ingredients. So I use a combination of different recipes and use these ingredients, combine them together to build a process or to cook a dish so that I can have my meal. That's that's as corny or as simple as I can, but I hope you can relate to that analogy. But let's quickly, from my in and out tool palette, I'm dragging in the input data tool. And now I need to configure this tool so that Alteryx can understand that I'm trying to ingest or input a data set. So from the drop down, I click on files. If I use any of my recent files, then you have a recent section for that. Sometimes you can star or you can save some of your connections. So you can directly connect to your connections from here. These are database connections or file connections. Here are the different file types that we support. Here are the different data sources that we support. So pretty much everything that is available out there is available in Altex, Snowflake, Amazon, AWS, Salesforce, Tableau data sources, Teradata, Google Analytics, SQL, so on. So here I want something simple. So I'm just looking for an Excel file. So I'll select, go to the destination that I want, select my file, click on open. As soon as I do that, it will give me a preview of my data, and I can set the record limit here. So I can just control if I'm just doing a POC or if I'm just trying to see how I can clean those data, then I can right away control my record limit here. I can set the field length. I can decide what the delimiter should be, change the format here. And also I can check or uncheck, sometimes if the field names are headers, I can check that so that Alteryx knows that, it should pull in the first row as a field header. As soon as I brought in my tool, I see nothing in the results window. That's because I need to run the workflow every time I drag and drop a tool in Alteryx. As you can see, the record is only 1,000. So only 1,000 root records have been brought in. We also have data quality profiling built in, meaning, as I can see, this tool or this data is super clean, and I'm able to tell that because every column is being indicated by a green color. Sometimes when I'm missing data, it happens to be in yellow. And if there are any white spaces or if there is any issues in the data, then you see a red color. And also how you're seeing the OK percentage as 100, when it is red, the OK percentage will be 30 or 40, and that is Alteryx's way of giving you a high level overview of what you need to do for each of your fields. Right. Next, let me go ahead and bring in my second data set. In the demo, what I want to do is I want to bring in two data sets, do some high level cleaning, maybe apply a summarized transformation on top of it. And finally, we can blend the data or join the data together. So for that, I will go ahead and bring in my second data set. This time, if you pay attention, I'm bringing in an XML document. Again, if you look at the preview, Ultrex is parsing all of this XML data into the form of a table. Let me run this workflow, and again, the data here happens to be clean, and the XML is in the format of a table. So let me add a select tool next to both of these data sets. And the select tool is where I can rename the data. I can change the format of the data. I can uncheck unwanted fields. Here I have some geo information. I don't need that, so I can uncheck it. I have an option to deselect all the fields or select only highlighted fields. I can move the fields around. I can add prefixes. So feel free to play around with these options when you download the trial. But yeah, so here I'm unchecking a bunch of unwanted information. For the sake of consistency, here I happen to notice that the customer ID has a different naming convention with an underscore. So let me go ahead and rename my field in the exact fashion. But again, if you look at the results window, nothing appears unless and until you run the workflow. Again, in your results window, in spite of us running this transformation or using this tool to change the name, in the results window, you don't see it. That's because you're on the input anchor. As soon as you click on the output anchor is when you see your change or transformation. So at every given step, you can always do this, input and output. Sometimes if you apply any formula, then you can see, especially with rounding off for decimal points, you can see how many decimal points were there. You can compare it with the output of that step. All right. So in these data sets, I only have a couple of fields, but sometimes you might have 50 or 30 different fields, and changing the metadata of each of these fields can be a hassle. Sometimes you have to, because if you have a certain data schema or a definition defined, then it is up to you to come in and manually change them. But Ultrex has a tool where it can optimize all of that for you. So using the autofill tool, all you have to do is drag and drop and connect and run the workflow. And if you look at the results window, you see some of the data types have been changed. Let me add a select tool back here. And now you can actually see where earlier this was like a memory hog where everything was 254, everything was a string. Whereas after using the autofill tool, Alteryx was intelligent enough and it also auto-assigned all the different data types to all the fields. You can also check what has changed in the metadata field here. You can either check in the results window or in the metadata section of each tool. So that is quite handy. So now, I guess let's summarize. Let's do a summarization on the transactions data set. Maybe for each, I want to group this data by each customer. And then I want to do a sum. Yeah, so sometimes what happens is if I did not apply a data cleaning tool, you can apply a data cleaner. That is, if your numbers have some sort of white spaces, or yeah, I should have, because you see how the sales has some indication that is indicating me that it needs some sort of cleanup. So if you clean your data, then this would have automatically recognized that sales has to be changed to double. Because I didn't do that here, because I didn't pay attention to sales and product name fields, the summarize tool was not able to recognize sales when I was trying to do a sum. So let me just run the workflow again so that the summarize tool is able to recognize sales as a numeric field. So now I can go on to sales and then do a sum. When I run the workflow, I now have the total sum of sales for each customer. I can then come in and add a formula where I want to round off the entire data. So I select my sum of sales column. And then here is where we have the configuration where you have all the function semantics. You can have your different functions. You can open and see what are the different functions available in Ultrex, or sometimes Ultrex will automatically give you suggestions as to if you're looking for a round function, then it will automatically populate. So here, the round function has two parameters. So I need to first select a variable, and then I need to select my multiples on which I want to round it off. So I want to say sum of sales and then give 2 as the round off number. So now again, nothing has happened because in my results window, I'm on my input anchor. But as soon as I click on my output anchor, all my records are now rounded off. So finally, let's go into the blending portion, and I will bring in my join tool, and I can easily blend or join both these data sets. So I know that I have a common key, which is customer ID between both these data sets. So I will select that customer ID. And then here, I only need sum of sales because I know customer ID will be same in both the data sets. So I will just check off the fields that are coming in from the right data set. I will then use a browse tool after my join, and then I will run the workflow. So if I maximize my results window, as you can see, the sum of sales has been attached to the data set. I also want to show you that, in the results window itself, for any quick comparisons or quick cleansing, you can come in, you can filter for a particular customer ID. Let's say I just want to filter for 8 and apply it. Then I only see results for that particular customer ID. I can sort my data. I can cleanse my data as well. So with that, I will pause, and since we only have 10 minutes left, that is all I had for the demo session today. I hope this was valuable. Before I break into questions, I quickly want to show you the pricing. Alteryx Designer is $5,195 USD per user per year. And you can also file the details about all our different products back here on this page. If you Google Alteryx Designer pricing, you'll land on this. But once again, we will include the pricing and all the other details in the email. That, yep, I can open up for questions. Mike, do we have any questions so far?
No questions in the Q&A window as of yet, but please feel free to, anyone who's here on the line, if you have a question that you'd like to toss over to Amr, please do it now.
So as you can see, we have some tools for machine learning, text mining, computer vision, and also predictive. So the capability goes beyond EL2 or ETL. We know teams where data scientists use Ultrex for their predictive work in combination with Python. We also have a Python tool where you can write your own Python code and customize Ultrex so that if there is any out-of-the-box functionality that is missing, then you can use this tool to build your own functionality. And that is how we at Lovelytics have built our Twitter connectors, all our social media campaigns. We monitor them using Ultrex by using the Python tool to download data from those platforms.
So we'll stay on the line for just a few minutes. If anyone does have any questions, if you are, all your questions are answered already, by all means, feel free to leave out and jump to your next meeting of the day. As I said prior, we will be sharing the recording. So if you have a question that comes up later on today, tomorrow, next week, by all means, please feel free to shoot us a note. We're happy to set up time with you to chat through your use case, answer any technical questions. All right. Well, hey, thank you everyone for joining today. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and please be on the lookout for a note from me with some of the resources as well as the recording, and appreciate your time. Take care, everyone.